Hello everyone. Hi. I assume that all of you people are safe and following all the instructions issued by the respective district administration. So in today's session, we people are going to discuss about performance appraisal, which is considered as one of the major element of human resource management system. When we talk about the performance appraisal, it includes the two words, one is performance and another one is appraisal. And when we say performance, performance is not only the end results, it also includes the behavior aspects. Behavior aspects in the sense, it includes the way how we reach that end results. That is the performance. That means performance is equal to behavior plus end results. Whereas appraisal is nothing but rating an employee depending upon the results we rate our employees. So the performance appraisal we put together, it is the techniques under which the behavior plus end results of an employees are evaluated and we grade them. So in this particular session, we people are going to discuss about the meaning, need and process of performance appraisal. So let's start with a performance appraisal meaning. The available literature reveals that performance appraisal is an regular in nature which is performed by the respective HR department. Under this process, the overall contribution of an employees are evaluated. How much he contributes to the organization overall. Or what we can say, there is something called behavioral aspects also, as we discussed earlier. And the same word is used differently in different industries. Some industry may refer it as an annual review, some industry may refer it as a performance review or evaluation or employee appraisal also. In government sector, it is considered as a confidential report on which the appraisal of a government employees are evaluated. Then it is important. Again, why performance appraisal is so, what it evaluates? It evaluates the employee skills, what kind of skills he possesses and what kind of skills he needs to possess to discharge his or her duties effectively. It includes the evaluation of achievements and growth, right? And what skills that has to be imparted, training need analysis. We will do that in the latter stage. But performance appraisal evaluates the employee's skills, achievements and growth, and what it lacks, what he lacks or she lacks to achieve those targets if there is a deviation. Right? After understanding this much, let's try to understand what exactly the performance appraisal is all about. And I will read it for you, which is there on the slide, that it is the systematic evaluation of the performance of employees and understand the abilities of a person for future growth and development. The very important word, abilities, what we can say is abilities. This is the right word. Abilities and skills. Skill is missing over there, but still we need to understand that all human beings, if you remember the first session, all human beings are unique. They are gifted with the same kind of abilities, but the skills makes them different. Skills makes them efficient and unsatisfied employees, right? So performance appraisal is a systematic evaluation of abilities, of skills of an employee, and in the meantime we also evaluate his growth, his future goals, career goals in their respective organizations. Once you understand this, let's try to understand why I need to do it. What is the need of performance appraisal? Is it so important that every organization has to do it? Yes. If you ask me, yes, I would say every organization needs to do the performance appraisal because of its it creates that vacuum if you don't use this, right? So let's try to understand the need. When we say need, the 5 important operations of an HR managers are totally depend. Not only depend, it depends upon the performance appraisals results, what we can say, right? So one is the promotion, motivation, compensation, employee development, and selection validations. Let's try to understand one by one. What is a promotion? We all know that promotion is nothing but it is a vertical upliftment of an employee. When we say vertical upliftment, there should be increase in responsibilities along with salary package or wages, or what we can say CTC also, cost to the company. If there is an increment in the responsibility and there is no increment in the salaries, we cannot term them as a promotion. It may be any other things other than promotion. Say for example, it may be considered as a job rotation. That aspects we will discuss in the latter stage. So promotion, if you want to promote any employee, I need to have the results of performance appraisal. After that, to motivate. Motivate, we all know there are 2 kinds of motivation. One is positive and the another one is negative. And performance appraisal acts in both. The nature of performance appraisal is considered for one employee it may be negative motivation and for another it may be a positive one. Why negative? Because if at the end of the period, if a particular employee doesn't cross the line which is set by a manager, he may lose the job. He may lose the job. The company may fire him. So that fear, the fear factor acts as a motivation. So that is the reasons why this performance appraisal is considered as a motivation to the employee. When we say about the positive motivation, yes, once I reach that particular set of the objectives, I will get a promotion. I will receive the increments. I will receive the bonuses. Like that way, it acts as a motivation also. Compensation, again an important element or again an important operations of an HR manager. The results of performance appraisal will constitute the important part of a compensation structure. Next is an employee development. In the beginning we say that this performance appraisal will evaluate both skills, abilities, and even the behavioral aspects of a human being or the employees. So if a particular employee doesn't match with the required talent, what we'll do? We will ask them or we will depute them for a training activity or training or a development activities. So by that, it acts or it helps in employee development also. Next comes selection validation. Again, a very important thing. We all know that the selection process is a very tedious activity of an HR manager. So we already understood the selection process, the different stages which are involved in the selection process. And after selecting a particular employee, a HR manager himself has to satisfy that the employee what I select is the best one. So for that reasons, I need to prove his performance. Yes, this particular employee has achieved the targets which are set by the industry, experts of the industry, and for that I validate, as an HR fellow, I validate his selection. Yes, I satisfied myself. I can defend them that whatever the process that I followed to select this man is absolutely right. So selection validation will totally depend upon the results of a performance appraisal, right? So after understanding this, let's try to understand how this performance appraisal is all carried out. The process, that is also important, right? The process is also important, and as a student of HR, we all need to follow it, or we all need to understand the processes also, right? So what is the process? We all know that process is a systemized, defined steps. We cannot skip one and directly jumps to the another. We need to follow each and every steps, right, to reach the required results. Clear? So what is the process? When I going through with the literature, I come to know that every textbook has the words which are using is different, but the ultimate understanding remains the same, right? So the overall process of human performance appraisal are broadly categorized or broadly stepped into 5 different stages, right? 5 different stages. The first itself is very important. It's a establish the performance standards. We all know that first I need to set the standards. Then question comes, who will set it, right? So by default, HR managers with the frequent iterations with the top leaders of the organization, with frequent meetings and discussions with the experts of the industries, he sets the performance standard of an employee depending upon the roles, depending upon the cadre of that particular hierarchy. Every industry has their different standards to evaluate the performance. That is the reason performance standards are generally set by iterations, frequent iterations between HR managers, leaders of the top leaders of the organization, and experts of the industry. So after setting up a standards, then the very next stage is to communicate them, right? Communicate the standards to the employees. And what is the right time to do it? It is at the beginning, right? So during the orientation program or during the induction program, generally the HR fellow will come and he will educate the newcomers about overall practices of that particular organization. And during that iteration, during that session, he explains what is required when we talk about the performance. That is nothing but communicating the standards. Once we communicate the standards, next is measuring the actual standards. That is nothing but we need to document. We need to document the actual results, actual performance of an employee. When I say a performance, you always remember that performance is equal to behavior plus results, not only a results. Behavior constitute more nowadays, right? So that has to be documented and that has to be measured. What do you mean by measuring? Again, a very simple, and that is the next one. Stage is comparing. once I document the actual performance, the very next stage is to compare the actual performances with the standards. That is what, if you remember the first session, I told you every human being is unique. Don't compare yourself with other people, right? That doesn't make, or that doesn't end up with any fruitful results. You need to compare your own performance with the standards, right? And that is actually happens in this process of performance appraisal. In this stage, the actual performance is compared with the standards, and the same is discussed with the employee also. Why I need to discuss the results with the employee? Because in the present environment, transparency is very, very important. I need to build that relationship. And as a student of HR, we all know that relations are totally depend upon the transparency and trust. I discuss the results of performance appraisal with my employee. After discussing, the very last stage is taking the corrective actions. Corrective actions in the sense, if he meets all the standards which are set by the top manager, with discussions with the expertise in the industry, if he meets, then he or she has to be promoted. If he doesn't meet, we need to evaluate what is the reasons, whether he lacks some skills or he needs to be training. So after understanding that, we need to depute that particular employee for a training session. So that is nothing but taking a corrective actions. So this is all about the process of performance appraisal, a very simple understanding. When we talk about the performance appraisal, there are only 5 steps. Establish the standards, communicate the standards, record the actual performances, compare the actual performances with the standards, and taking the corrective actions. Here ends the discussions on performance appraisal. Let's try to review what we have done till now. We have discussed about the performance appraisal. We have discussed what do you mean by performance. Performance is equal to behavior plus results. What is an appraisal? Appraisal is nothing but a rating process. After that, we understand the need, why we need a performance appraisal: for promotion, for motivation, for employee development, for selection validations, etc. And at the lastly, we discuss about the process of performance appraisal. So here I end my discussion, and by this I request all my students to refer the recommended or references books. Still, if they feel anything which is confusing or difficult to understand, they are always free to call me. And at the lastly, I request all of you people, please stay at home, be healthy, be happy. Thank you.